What are you afraid of? This video will destroy her. She deserves it. I don't know. I'm scared of her, Camille. Stop it, you. What are you two whispering about? What secrets? Keep your nose out of it, Cindy. Go to class. And you, Rosie, think carefully. This is our chance. That's it. I gotta go. Mwah! And Camille jumped up and down the hallway. Hi, my name is Rosie. We were just arguing with my best friend Camille. It's all about our new class teacher, Mrs. Kindle, who's making life miserable for Camille and me. Please subscribe to the channel and I'll tell you what happened. And now listen to my story. She's been a real pain in the ass. At the beginning of the year, the principal announced that our beloved Miss Beverly was in the hospital and would be replaced by this Kindle. She didn't like me right away. I don't know why, but she was trying to make friends with the elite of the class. For example, Tyler was captain of the school basketball team, and he was always missing practice. But he often skipped class. Mrs. Kindle turned a blind eye. She also chatted sweetly at recess with our bitchy Cindy, who fancied herself queen of the class. Her company of self-righteous brats like herself could push you, kick your backpack, accidentally spill juice on your clothes. And more than once, our new homeroom teacher saw these incidents, but she didn't react, and it was awful. Yes, indeed. Miss Beverly never allowed herself to ignore such behavior in class. She was always stopping Cindy. Exactly, and now it's chaos. Kindle's friends with whoever's convenient, who have rich and powerful parents.
Are you girls talking about me, or am I just hearing things?
We turned pale and looked at Camilla. What a bad time for her to come up. From that day on, all hell broke loose for Camilla and me. Mrs. Kindle turned everyone in the class against us. I was persecuted for a used backpack from the thrift store. And Camille was brought to tears in the locker room by the girls giggling at her small breasts. Today, I froze in place when I saw my school locker. It was painted and smeared with some kind of paint. And not far away, Mrs. Kindle was standing there smirking. That was the last straw. Kami, this is unbearable. We're real outcasts. I can't take it anymore. We've got to make up with her. Otherwise, it will never end. No way. She's just waiting for us to come crawling back on our knees to apologize. She won't. But I was having enough trouble as it was. The other day, my parents announced to me that they were getting divorced. It was not news. Dad and Mom have long been just neighbors on the same living space. But recently, Mom accidentally saw a message on Dad's phone, clearly intimate nature, and decided to dot all the dots. So she filed for divorce. I had to get over it, and then there's the Kindle. I had to make it up to her, so I figured out a way. The school's website said Mrs. Kindle was into contemporary art, and I had an idea. After class, I knocked on the office, which had a shiny plaque with the name Kindle on it.
What do you want, Rose?
The teacher's tone was clearly not conducive to conversation. I walked over to her desk and held out a gift-wrapped book. Mrs. Kindle, I don't think our acquaintance with you is going well.
You're not just imagining it.
The teacher said, pointing at the book I was holding out to her.
And take your gift back.
It's a collection of works by contemporary artists. You're into art. Suddenly, the teacher grabbed the book and threw it into the trash can near the table.
Go away.
Already in the hallway, I exhaled. Is this really happening to me? That Kindle has lost her fear. I'm going to the principal right now. I've had enough humiliation. And within minutes, I was knocking on the principal's door. Mr. Wilson has always been very loyal to the students. That year, he let us come to school in costumes for Halloween, and it was a lot of fun. And recently, they opened up a rec room at the school for the older students. Everyone loved Mr. Wilson. But the principal didn't respond to my complaints. He rubbed his forehead lightly and said calmly,
Rosie, you're exaggerating. You better support Joanna. Mrs. Kindle. She's new to our school. It's hard for her. Be kinder to people.
I wish he'd slapped me. It would have been less painful and hurtful. Tears came to my eyes. But why is the principal defending that nasty teacher? I decided not to tell Camille about the incident, but Kindle started to get back at me really hard. She called me in every class and bombarded me with difficult questions. My grades dropped to 0. One night, my mom came into my room.
Rosie, what's going on? I got your grades from last month. It's terrible. Do you need help?
I couldn't take it anymore and told my mom everything, both about the bullying from the new teacher and my unfortunate conversation with the principal. Mom hugged me and promised to talk to Mrs. Kindle. But that darn woman knew her business. After the conversation at school, Mom came back irritated.
Rosie, you humiliated me. Why did you lie? Mrs. Kindle is a wonderful woman, and she's very worried about you. She says you've completely abandoned your studies.
That's not true.
I explained to her that our family is going through a bad time. But that doesn't give you the right to behave like that. Apologize to your teacher tomorrow.
That's it. There's nowhere to go, and I dread to think what Mrs. Kindle will do to me now. I'm afraid to go to school. For 2 days, I stayed home on my bed eating ice cream on a grand scale. But on Wednesday, my mom made me get dressed and took me to school. It was a day I will never forget. In the hallway, I ran into a crying Camille. She had a mop in her hands. Seeing the mute question in my eyes, Camille nodded towards the classroom. Kindle came up with occupational therapy for me. She was sick of hearing all my protests. This is a nightmare. I knew the teacher was taking it out on her best friend because of me. I'll help you. I have 2 floors to clean. After school. The 2 of us can do it faster. We hugged each other and hurried off to class. It was already dark outside, and we were still scrubbing the floors with Camille. My back was stiff from the experience. Let's take a break. I'm starving. There should still be a snack machine on the first floor. Let's go. So Camille and I went downstairs. It was quiet. We walked tiredly down the dark hallway. Suddenly, I heard some laughter. We froze. Maybe I imagined it. When we took a couple of steps forward, we saw a narrow strip of light. The door to the principal's office was half open, and from there came quiet voices. We slowly approached the door and opened our mouths in surprise. Mrs. Kindle sat relaxed in her chair with her head tilted playfully. We heard her whispering.
Listen, darling, I'm going to tell everyone that we're having an affair and that it was you who put me up to it. I hope you don't want any trouble. You'll lose everything you have.
With trembling hands, I turned on the camera on my phone and started filming. Thankfully, the door to the office completely concealed me.
Stop it, Joanna. No one will believe you, especially since the students are complaining about you. A couple more incidents like this and I'll have to fire you. I don't think that's what you want.
Suddenly, Mrs. Kindle jumped up and grabbed Principal Wilson by the scruff of the neck. Yeah, she was arguing with him in his office, and I was filming it on my phone.
What's the PTA going to do to you when they find out what you spent the money from the school fundraiser on? A 2-week vacation in the Bahamas and a 5-star hotel. Isn't that a little lavish, Mr. Wilson? Are you sure you want everyone to know about this? I don't think so. So you'll do whatever I say.
The scandal was escalating, and at any moment, someone could run out into the corridor and see me and Camilla. We've got to go. With quick steps, holding hands, we hurried back with my friend. An hour later, having cleaned the floors in absolute silence, we were walking home. I kept replaying in my head what I had seen in the principal's office. My phone seemed to be burning my pocket because of the video I'd caught today. We have to publish it. That couple is screwing the whole school over. I was silent and hesitant. In fact, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to consult. What if it turns out to be like that book again? They'll just punish me and Camille, say the video was fake, delete it from the chat room, and we'll never get cleaned up. Late at night, we sat with Camille at my house and discussed what we had seen. I asked Camille to wait to publish the video. She wouldn't listen. Eventually, we had a fight and Camille went home. Tired, I collapsed on my bed and fell asleep. In the morning, my phone woke me up. The messages were beeping one after another. Opening the chat room, I was stunned. Yesterday's video was uploaded. I dialed Camille, but there was no answer. The school was in a tizzy. Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Kindle were being interviewed behind closed doors. The police, the press, the pupils all crowded into the corridors of the school. What have you done? I grabbed the arm of a pleased Camilla. We did it together. Serves them right. A month passed. Both the principal and the teacher were fired. The story made so much noise that our school is being scrutinized. I've been homeschooled. I can't go to school. I can't communicate with Camille. She stole that video from me and posted it in a chat room without my knowledge. Should I have gone public with that story? I don't know. On the bright side, now Mrs. Kindle will think twice about shaming any of her students. That's if she's allowed to teach. The principal's facing jail time for overstepping her authority, but that doesn't make me feel any better. How do you feel about it? What would you do if you were me? Let's discuss it in the comments.